Almanac North. I'm Maury Hewitt. We have a special episode this week about growing food in the Northland. Our guest today is Ericka La Mar, who along with her husband Jack run Early Frost Farms in Embarrass, Minnesota. Welcome, Ericka. We're so excited to have you here.
Thank you for inviting me.
And I have to say, I love the name of your farm.
That was my husband's idea. He just comes up with the best ideas. He does all our marketing for us. Yeah, he's
Jack,
really
good job.
He is.
I love the name.
Yeah.
So tell us about your farm.
So we are in Embarrass, and we're located right on the Mesabi Bike Trail. So we get a lot of visitors to our general store, which carries a variety of products such as ice cream treats and canned goods and produce and Embarrass themed t-shirts. We also have a picnic area, a bike fit station, and a porta potty for bikers who need a break.
I mean, it sounds like a destination.
It is, it is. And in the summertime, we grow a wide variety of organically grown vegetables, which we sell at the Towers Farmers Market and at a couple of local schools and a grocery store. And then finally, we have a studio that can be rented. It's a short-term rental, and we're listed on Airbnb. Or people can go directly to our website and reserve a space at earlyfrostfarms.com.
Wow, you kind of have a little bit of everything
We
there.
do,
So
yeah.
how did you get started?
Well, in about 2012, my husband and I were living in Hibbing, and we both got jobs on the East Range, so we decided we didn't want to commute and started looking for property. And we were kind of debating between lakefront property and rural property, and at the time we were avid deer hunters, so we settled on getting rural property because we could afford a larger acreage. And this property had been on the market for about 6 months. And it was pretty run down. There were no outbuildings. There was this really cool Gothic style barn that had never been painted, but it was on 118 acres. So I convinced my husband, Jack, who is not entirely keen on the idea, that we could make this place our own. So that's what we did, and that began our farming adventure, and it has been a labor of love, but we wouldn't want to live anywhere else.
Well, I'm so excited you're going to be here for this whole show so we can continue to hear about your story. But we also have a couple of videos to share today that feature people that are passionate about growing their own food. For our first video, we'll venture up north to Virginia to learn about a delicious summer meal that is created with ingredients straight from the garden.
Every year there's something more beautiful than the last. Most of this is just ornamental. But the bed right up there is planted with kale and chard, and we eat a lot of kale and chard and some nasturtiums. We always try to grow chard and kale because we make these wonderful things called chard fritters.
Tell me more.
Oh, we take a huge basket, huge, fill it with chard and kale, stem the chard and kale, blanch it, put it in a food processor, a big pot like this blanches down to a pile like that.
Sure.
Put it in a food processor with 3 eggs, 3 tablespoons of flour, teaspoon of sugar, fresh nutmeg, garlic, and process it. Oh, look at that yellow spider. Oh my gosh, is that amazing? Pure yellow. Anyway, you process it up, and then we fold in bacon or ground pork or feta cheese or whatever. And
All of the herbs in the...
oh yeah, everything. We put in rosemary, thyme, sage, parsley, basil, oregano, everything we have out there. You just harvest what we've got, put it in the food processor. So they are bright green when they come out of the fryer. And they're just, you feel so righteous because you're eating, all of these herbs plus this big basket of chard and kale. So we feel like $1 million, when you have that dinner. It is really amazing. It is. Great healthy food.
I love how she said that she felt so righteous
Yes.
making that because so much greenery.
Yes. Have you had them?
No,
Oh,
but I want one
Yeah,
now.
they're so delicious. I've been making them obviously I got the recipe from Marlise, and I've been making them for a number of years. And what I love about these fritters is that they're very versatile. So if you have anything extra in your garden, you can use that. Yeah, and
Just throw it in.
Just throw it in.
Okay.
And the real secret is using fresh herbs.
Okay.
Dill is my favorite to use in that, a lot of dill, but they are so, so good.
And so you know Marlise.
I do, yes. She was my absolute favorite professor when I was a freshman in college in 1987.
Oh, wow.
Yes, so after I graduated, 30 years later, I reconnected with her and we've been friends ever since. And she is a huge inspiration. Her and her partner just have a beautiful garden, and yeah, they do a wonderful job.
You know, I envy that skill of being able to go through your garden and just like clip a bunch of things, put them together, and
Yes, yeah.
have a fresh, healthy meal.
That's right, yeah.
And you cook as well with farm fresh vegetables.
I do. I do.
Do you have any advice? What's your go-to?
Well, no advice necessarily about cooking, but because honestly, if you're using fresh vegetables that are just at the peak of season, whatever you make is going to turn out amazing.
Oh, that's good advice. And do you have any specialties that you like to do every summer?
Ratatouille, for sure. Yeah, because that has...
Is that eggplant?
Well, yes, eggplant. You can do zucchini. You can do, there's cherry tomatoes. I mean, it's just a whole bunch of different vegetables. So.
Yeah, and so what is your garden vegetable your vegetable garden look like in terms of how many? What's the spectrum?
Yes. So, well, it's a huge, huge variety. And we have 2 high tunnel hoop houses. I don't know if you've heard of those, but they help extend our growing season about 6 weeks. So 3 weeks in the beginning and 3 weeks at the end.
Important and embarrassing.
It is very important. Yes. So I don't think you could name a vegetable that we don't grow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And so we are going to go to another video here. We have Jackie Clay-Atkinson, who I understand, Ericka, that she kind of was an inspiration for you to get started.
Yeah, huge inspiration. So about 3 years after we moved onto our farm, I was looking through the paper for laying hens, and she had an ad in the paper. So I called it up, and she gave me directions to her homestead in Angora. And I set out after work, and when I turned off the main road, I was driving down this very long driveway, and she warned me that it was long, but about 1.5 miles down this long driveway, I started getting a little bit nervous, like, what am I gonna find at the end of this driveway? And it opened up, and the very first thing I saw was this beautiful log home, and it was surrounded by gardens. Fruit trees, vegetable gardens, tomatoes as big as your head. I mean, it was just amazing.
Like an oasis.
It was. It really was. It was a paradise. So we talked. She met me out on the porch. We talked for a little bit, and within a few minutes, I realized who I was talking to. I had been reading her articles in Backwoods Home Magazine and Mother Earth News for years. Oh. And I got a little starstruck. I was like, oh my gosh, I just realized who you are. Can I take a selfie with you? She totally let me just take a picture with her. I still have that picture to this day. And then she and her husband, Will, gave me this tour of their operation, which was about 3 hours. It was a 3-hour long tour, but it felt like just a few minutes. So, needless to say, when I got home from that tour, I talked my husband's ear off, and I said, she and Will have set the bar so high. Like, they are,
a great inspiration.
Really good. And we have not met that standard yet. We keep trying every year, but not yet.
Well, let's meet Jackie.
Yeah.
But we're in northern Minnesota. We're only about 90 miles south of Canada. No neighbors within a mile or so. We just absolutely love it here. We're off-grid, totally off-grid. Well, I'm Jackie Clay-Atkinson, and this is my lovely husband, Will.
Thank you.
One thing that I've gathered since being here is almost every plant, every seed has a story.
They do, and we're just so tickled. It's like growing history in your garden. And this is like planting something that's been around for maybe 2,000-3,000 years or longer. And it's been a favorite of a family that's passed it down to their family and their friends, and all of a sudden we end up with it. So it's really an honor to be growing these things.
Years ago, I was living in New Mexico, and I grew this squash, and it's called Hopi Pale Gray. It's a very ancient Hopi Indian squash, and by accident I learned that just laying underneath my bed it would stay good for 2 years and still be good to eat, and it's the most flavorful squash there is. Well, I got my seeds from the Abundant Life Foundation in Washington State, and I grew the squash. I had half a pack of seeds left, and I found out that they burned to the ground. They lost their entire warehouse of all these ancient, rare seeds that were, most of them you couldn't find anywhere in the world. And here I am with a half a pack of Hopi squash seeds. And I was afraid that somehow if I died, these squash would go extinct, because in this country alone, there's 500 varieties of old heirloom seeds that go extinct every single day. So I couldn't have that happen with these. So I started offering free seeds to anybody that would want to grow them. And the first year we had about 50, the second year about 150, the third year 250 people. And it cost us $1 for the padded envelope and $1 something to mail them. And I told Will, we can't afford to do this anymore. And people were saying, well, what else do you grow that's really cool? So I said, let's make a little seed listing. So on my printer, I made a one-page seed listing. Tomatoes and squash, corn. It did really well. We sold quite a bit. So the next year, we went into the Cook newspaper and they printed out a little catalog for us, and we grew more things for seed. The next year we grew even more things for seed, and we're getting really pumped on this because we're discovering some ancient stuff that's really good. We've got muskmelons from Russia, we've got corn from Canada, we've got corn from native peoples right here in Minnesota. So slowly we've increased the amount of seed we're growing, and the catalog got fatter and fatter, and I'm still growing Hopi Pale Gray squash.
It's all about making sure that families have food. And we have only crops that make a good amount of food and taste good.
But this is a Bill Bean tomato. It originally came from Italy during World War II. An old Italian man that brought him to the United States from Italy in his sock. Anyway, those seeds were passed to Bill Bean, who was the veteran service officer in this area. So when Will came here from Washington State, he's a Vietnam veteran, so he went into the veteran service officer to get set up with the services. And Bill Bean had wonderful pictures of his garden. And so we started talking garden, and we treated them Hopi Pale Gray squash for Bill Bean tomatoes. And we named them after him because he only called them the Italian tomato. Well, we've got about a dozen Italian tomatoes, so that wouldn't work. So we named them after him because we used to say, well, let's plant that Bill Bean tomato. So we did, and it's the best tomato in the world. This is our favorite tomato. About how many varieties do we have? Like 90 varieties of tomatoes?
Yeah, almost 100.
Almost 100 varieties. This is our very favorite. Both Will and I are part of Ojibwe, and we really have an affinity towards native crops. The reason they've been around this long is because they taste really good, they produce well, and they're pretty. We don't like ugly crops. And then all winter, we're finding new sources of new seeds. So every year we're trying new seeds, new varieties. And some work out wonderful, and some are just so-so. The so-so ones we eat, and that's it, done deal. You know, because we can't grow everything. We're two people, we plant by hand, we weed by hand, and there's only so many hours in a day. We go out and we sing to him even, you know. Will can't sing, well, he sings better than I do, I can't tell a lie. But, you know, the native peoples would sing to their corn. They're like our little children. Folsom Indian Ruin, that came from New Mexico, out of an Indian ruin. A neighbor of ours had a ranch. He also had the remains of an old Indian ruin on his ranch. Well, he noticed this round thing in the ground. So he took his knife out and dug around. It was a little clay pot about that big with a wood stopper sealed with pine pitch. And he was curious, and he dug the pine pitch out, pulled a stopper, and it was these big white beans. So he gave me 5 beans. So I took the 5 beans and I planted them, and every single one grew. And so I've been saving seeds ever since. Now, his son worked at Albuquerque at the university in archaeology, brain fart. And he carbon dated that bean 1,500 years. It had been in the ground in that pot who knows how long.
Unbelievable.
It was awesome, you know, so we grow those every single year. Nothing goes to waste. Everything goes full circle around here. We don't throw anything away hardly. You can look around at our junk, and sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, I need the blah, blah, blah bolt. I know where there is one, he'll say. So he'll go in his little junk pile, and bam, there it is.
That's awesome.
But like our cows, we've got a small herd of cows for beef, and they make manure. The manure goes into huge compost piles that he piles up with a bulldozer. It goes out on the gardens. It feeds the plants. The plants grow. The plants feed us. They give seeds. The seeds buy gas for the tractor and the diesel so he can make hay all summer. And the cows give us beef. So it goes round and around, you know. If you go to the store and buy food, you come home and eat it. It's a dead end. That isn't the way it's supposed to work. The people that planted these beans are gone, but their beans are living on, and people are growing them in their own gardens. It's like growing history. You could almost taste melon, can't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when people say to us, which is your favorite tomato? How do you tell?
Right.
What day of the week is it?
Well, you guys have a blessed life up here.
Oh, we do. We do. And we really appreciate every single day. You know, after being a cancer survivor from, what was it, 20 years ago now? You know, to have this, it's wonderful.
Well, I can see why you were starstruck when you met her. I think I'm inspired now.
Yes, aren't they
Wow.
amazing? They're just
Wow.
amazing. She and Will are such treasures. They really are.
And so have you used some of Jackie's seeds?
Oh, in fact, from the day I met her, that's all we order. We order all of our seeds from Seed Treasures.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So any particular seeds that you
know,
love?
here's the thing. Every January, one of my absolute favorite things to do is to get her seed catalog, which is about this thick now.
Oh, does it come out every year?
It comes out every
Yeah.
year. And to read her descriptions of the different varieties that they carry is so much fun because you can kind of see she is a real character. I mean, did you notice the t-shirt,
Yeah.
Garden Naked, right? She is so much fun. And the descriptions are just, they're so interesting and funny to read.
Yeah, because you mentioned that you had read her articles for years.
So these are like articles about food preservation and canning and growing. So yeah, she's been and she's an author of many books as well.
I can see why. I mean, like, you can just see the knowledge that
Yes.
she has.
Yes.
Wow. So, you know, seeing Jackie and like seeing what you have, it's something I'm intrigued by. Like, how do you get started in, you know, can you start small?
Yes. Yes. In fact, you know, you do not need 118 acres to grow food. You can start with just a few pots or containers. You can start with a 5 by 8 foot plot. That's all you need. And you can grow a significant amount of food in just a very small area. Yeah. So the other thing that I would recommend is find a mentor or a neighbor who likes to garden, or join your local gardening club in order to just kind of help you get started and to answer any questions along the way.
Yeah, that makes sense, because when she said there are, what, 100 varieties of tomatoes, which that seems very daunting.
Yeah.
To figure out which tomato will I be able to grow.
Well, and here's the thing. She is growing in Angora, Minnesota, which has the shortest growing season probably in America. And so you know that the seeds that you get from her are going to grow in Duluth,
Oh, yeah.
in all up the North Shore. They will grow.
So what is the learning curve like when you start out? You know, when you started, what, 2012?
Yeah.
How did you start?
Well, you know, I grew up with a mother who gardened,
Okay.
so I knew a bit, but you know, a lot of it is just trial and error, and we have a lot of mentors in our lives. And we still, I mean, just a couple of weeks ago, we had dinner with some friends, and they have been gardening in Embarrass for over 40 years, and they are a wealth of knowledge. And so we just learned some new techniques just a couple weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
So it's just, you know, tapping into the knowledge base that's around you.
Making friends who know. You know, you kind of touched on this, but you know, you're in Embarrass, Jackie in Angora.
Yes.
Marlise in Virginia.
Virginia.
So northern Minnesota, what grows well in our climate?
You know, that is a good question. Most vegetables grow well well, I'll just say this. Cold weather vegetables grow well. So root vegetables grow well. Cold weather vegetables are like kale and chard and lettuces.
Okay.
Those are kind of cold hardy crops. What's a little bit harder is hot weather crops like tomatoes and peppers and sweet corn. But as you could tell from the video, Will and Jackie are growing all those things.
Yeah.
Yes. So it can be done. A lot of times what you have to do is start your starts inside. That's what we do. That's what Jackie and Will do. You don't just start putting them in the ground, seeds in the ground. You start them in somewhere nice and warm, get them growing a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah, so they're about this big before you actually put them in the ground
Okay.
after the last frost date.
Which can be hard to gauge sometimes
It is.
where we live.
It can be.
So in your decade of early frost farms, what's the best part?
Eating fresh food that we know has been grown with organic processes. So we know that there's no pesticides in our food. And the other thing that we love is just having visitors come to the farm. We give tours and we just visit with people from all over actually the world with our Airbnb. So it's just, that's the best part.
That's really cool. Well,
Yeah.
Ericka, thank you so much for joining
Thank you for
Almanac
having me.
North tonight for this special episode. And that's it for this week's show. Thank you for joining us, Ericka. And I'm here with Ericka La Mar, our guest host today. We'll see you next time. Have a good night.